Thank you, thank you. We are at war. You know how we know this? You just heard Hawkins up here a few minutes ago, right? What did she say at the very moment Charlie Kirk was assassinated, at the University of Montana? They laughed in her face, right? Laughed in her face, and some guy goes, oh, we're at war. Charlie Kirk knew we were at war. Every time I've spoken at any event of Turning Point, I always start with that, because Charlie Kirk knew one thing. He knew we were at war, and he knew we were going to be victorious if we didn't quit. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's go back. Do you understand, for the last 10 years, there have been 8 national elections, either primaries, off-year elections where Congress is voted on for the whole nation, or presidential elections. We have won 7 of those 8. This is why they hated Charlie Kirk. It wasn't Charlie Kirk's philosophy or even his debates. Charlie Kirk was a tough person that built a machine that you guys are dedicated to that delivered victories. Let's be specific. Go back to 2015. President Trump, 15-16, wins the primary against all odds. Then in 16, he wins a come-from-behind, once-in-a-lifetime victory against Hillary Clinton. We lost the 18 midterms because people were leaning on their rakes, and we lost, 35 or 40 House seats, and Nancy Pelosi told us exactly what she was going to do. She impeached Trump and almost brought it all down. President Trump came back, won the primary, right, very easily. Nobody really ran against him. I don't think anybody ran against him. 2020, we won the 2020 election. Is there any dispute on that? If you don't believe that, you don't believe a foundational element of the MAGA movement. We won 2020, and to show you how we won it, we picked up 14 House seats that night. 14 House seats. Then President Trump went into the wilderness. This is when Charlie Kirk really, I think, stepped up the most. President Trump was sent to Mar-a-Lago. They never thought he was coming back. The Republican Party never thought he was coming back. And what happened? President Trump grinded it out. In fact, he told us on this stage last year, right here, the first time he told anybody. When Charlie had him come out here and speak, what did he say? He said, I had to run again because I could not let them steal an election because they're stealing the country. And we see what Biden did. Then we win the midterms in 22. We picked up, 11 seats, 8 net, and took the House of Representatives. There were supposed to be more, but we got control of the House. And then, in really the greatest come from behind ever, President Trump, Turning Point put him on put him on their shoulders. We won the greatest election in the history of the country. In 10 years, a decade, you've been beaten once when we leaned on our shovels. Charlie Kirk understood one thing. We are at war. It's a political war. It's a cold civil war. We don't want it to turn hot. We don't need it to turn hot if we accomplish what we're supposed to accomplish. And we have won 7 of 8 national elections. The American people are with us as long as we get things done, as long as we accomplish the punch list that Rob Snyder talked about when he walked down this stage. That's what's incumbent upon us, and that's what the Republican establishment to date, because you can already see what they're doing in trying to block President Trump. You see this in Indianapolis. You see this in the redistricting. The Republican establishment think that President Trump's just a passing storm and that he's just going to fade away. And what they're going to try to do is co-opt Turning Point, because Charlie has built it into a massive political operation that cannot be beat. And the left knows that. It's one of the reasons, yes, I realize we haven't gone to trial yet. We don't know all the information. It looks like, at least the information we have out, it may be this guy, maybe not an organization in back of it. We don't know that yet because the evidence hasn't been put out. But Charlie Kirk is dead. Think about that. The individual that's probably, I think, at his age, the greatest individual this country's produced politically, culturally, since the revolution. Remember, all of the revolution was 30. Charlie Kirk's, hell, he's 31 years old. He's been doing this since he was 17 or 18. But Charlie Kirk was a man of action. And I want to make sure that we get something straight tonight. We have a partners discussion. And I want to say up front, if I hurt some feelings here, you can come and talk to me afterwards. This whole thing that's gone on the last couple of days, some of the comments tonight, this is not about, this specific incident is not about freedom of speech or platforming or deplatforming. They're all talking about that, and that's, people are saying hurtful things to each other. Tucker said the quiet part out loud. This is a proxy on 28. Now, I think it's way too early to be thinking about 28. But he's right about one thing. This is a proxy on an issue that's not freedom of speech. And not, are you going to get platformed or deplatformed? This is about a situation that Charlie Kirk was probably one of the most, if not the most important person in doing and accomplishing. And that is this concept of what I would call greater Israel and Israel first. You can't get a better defender of Israel than Charlie Kirk. You can't get a better defender of Israel than Steve Bannon. At Breitbart, adamant, couldn't have a two-state solution. In the White House, I'm the one that pushed initially hard to move the embassy to Jerusalem. At War Room, ask all the War Room people that are here. Ask all the posse. We always talk about it, and we're one state, not a two-state. But that's about Israel. It's not about greater Israel, and it's not about Israel first. Charlie Kirk had some foundational beliefs. Those foundational beliefs are, number one, he's a populist nationalist. America makes its own decisions for America. And as a populist, the American people are the people that make those decisions. Now, Benji Shapiro sat up here last night, and he was all, it's all about the truth. Ben, I've known you a long time, brother. You can't handle the truth. Let's face it, Ben Shapiro is the farthest thing from MAGA. Let's be blunt. He is a hardcore never-Trumper. He's a hardcore never-Trumper. In the spring of 16, he tried to upend Breitbart. He walked off the job, made a big deal about some incident in Mar-a-Lago with Corey Lewandowski. He tried to turn it to Ted Cruz from Donald Trump because he hated Donald Trump. In the general election, he barely supported Donald Trump. The first sign of when President Trump gets sent back to Mar-a-Lago, the very first individual that jumped on the Ron DeSantis train, the Israel First train, was Ben Shapiro. And those are the darkest days we had. In 21 and 22, you guys were there. He's consistently been against Trump, and now that President Trump doesn't back the Greater Israel Project. What is Greater Israel? It's not about Israel itself. It's about an expansionist Israel, an imperial Israel that Netanyahu and that crowd have thought up. And the Israel First crowd is Ben Shapiro, Tel Aviv Mark Levin, and many others that want to put that ahead of America's interests. Charlie Kirk fought that. You know where Charlie Kirk fought it? In the White House. I know, because I was there. When I went back, Charlie Kirk was working with Sergio Gore, certain people around the vice president to make sure that we didn't get sucked into a land war, a decapitation of the Iranian elites that would lead to a massive civil war that American troops would get sucked into, because that was Netanyahu's plan from the beginning. And we know that. The Times of Israel has published that there was no urgency to go after the nuclear weapons. We know the fact they couldn't finish what they started. We know for a fact that they needed American Aegis, THAAD missiles, Patriots to defend themselves. On day 10 of the war, they were losing, and they didn't have the offensive capability. And I don't mean the B-2s coming in and taking out the caves. They relied upon our 1970s technology of cruise missiles fired from submarines in the North Arabian Sea to take out the above ground. We had to bring that war to conclusion, and President Trump in his brilliance said, we'll do that, and we'll call it the 12-day war, and it's over. Now, for the Israel First crowd, they are the ones that are destroying Israel. Today in Miami, who's negotiating with Witkoff? It's the Turks, it's Qatar, and it's the Egyptians. Because Qatar is going to underwrite Gaza, and 2 million Palestinians are going to stay there. And the Turks are providing on Egyptian soil called Gaza, or on Israel soil called Gaza, is going to provide the military control mechanism over UAE troops, Saudi troops, and Egyptian troops. That's a two-state solution that has been provided because of the efforts of the Israel First crowd. And Charlie Kirk had one simple thing that he thought about. Who controls America and who makes decisions for the United States of America? And Charlie Kirk worked overtime because behind the scenes he was a player, not just helping Sergio get all types of great people in there and vet those people, but actually talking about policy. And part of that policy was no more foreign wars. Charlie absolutely believed what I believe. The Middle East is a sideshow, and Israel's a sideshow to a sideshow. Now, voices out there that support Israel, like Laura Loomer and Rabbi Walicki and others, are coming forward and say, look, maybe Bannon and these guys are right. We don't want to take any more American money. We don't have any more American control. We want to go out and do what we want to do when we, the Israelis, feel they have to do it. I support that 100%. Israel needs its sovereignty. Israel needs to be independent. If Israel wants to take on Syria, go for it. If Israel wants to go into Lebanon, go for it. But not drag the United States of America into another endless war. Ask Megyn Kelly when she comes up here. Look, Breitbart, Shapiro called Breitbart Trump Pravda. When he left, he called it Trump Pravda. And he was kind of right. We had to be. There was no other news site that was supporting President Trump. When poor Megyn Kelly came out in that first debate and made what looks like now some innocuous questions, right, about Trump's Facebook page or his Twitter feed, about Rosie O'Donnell and others, have Jack Posobiec ask her how it turned out. We unleashed the dogs. We were maniacs. Why? President Trump had no backing at Fox, had no backing at the National Review, and at 16, that would have driven him out of the race. So we had to be there. But Ben Shapiro is like a cancer, and that cancer spreads. It's a cancer, and it metastasizes. He tried to take over Breitbart, and I ran him out of there. He tried to take over David Horowitz's, who was his mentor. Don't ask me. Ask the guys associated with David Horowitz what he did there. He tried to take that over. And mark my word, he will make a move on Turning Point because he's always been envious of Charlie Kirk. This is not about speech. It's not about deplatforming. This is about power politics. And what Charlie Kirk believed in, to the core of his being, that America makes decisions for America and Americans make decisions for America. That was Charlie Kirk. Why the hell do you think they assassinated him? Why they put the poison all over this place? Why they mock and ridicule? James Carville said yesterday that Rob Reiner's done 100 times more than Charlie Kirk. They hate Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk brought victories. And with victory after victory after victory, that's when we can re-Christianize this country. What was Charlie Kirk's lesson? That we were a Christian nation that got off the rails. We have to re-Christianize this country. You are in the shadows of a giant, not just an American patriot and an American hero. Charlie Kirk is a Christian martyr, and Charlie Kirk is a Christian saint. That is your legacy that you take up. The day I went into prison, we passed the show to Charlie Kirk as we did oftentimes in the 3.5 years that Charlie Posobiec and I had that block at Real America's Voice. And what Charlie said, I said to Charlie, next man up. Charlie said, I got it. Next man up. Are you next man up? Are you going to fill the shoes of Charlie Kirk? Do you have the stones to do it? Do you have the guts to do it? Ask yourself that, because I tell you what, that's what's going. You in this room right here are going to decide whether we win in 26. And if we don't win in 26, they're going to bring holy hell down on us. We have to win. Charlie Kirk knew that, and you know that. Thank you very much. Next man up.